Ryan!
Yeah, oh my God, where are you in the world right now?
I don't know. I'm everywhere and nowhere at the same time. But yeah, to ground ourselves, I kind of
Sure.
wanted to, did anything interesting go on this week with you?
Well, so our listeners might not be aware of this, but I work at a psychiatric hospital, so things are always happening. And
That's good.
yeah, things are always happening. Not always good things are happening, but things are always happening. Like one week we had one guy throw his own feces at us. So that was a fun time. Luckily I didn't have to clean that up, so that was cool. But this past week there was this woman there who was in our crisis side, and she was experiencing a lot of psychosis, and you kind of feel for her or whatever, but I was inside the nurse's station. There's glass between us and the crisis side because people like to throw things and throw their hands against the wall when they get angry. But this woman, she's not violent or anything, and she just kind of taps on the glass and like, "Hey Ryan!" And I'm busy. I'm doing my own thing, and I just kind of give her a little wave, say, "Hey, it's nice to see ya," and I keep doing my thing, and she stops, slams again, says, "No, I want to talk to you. Come over here." Like, oh, Jesus Christ, okay. I thought we were just being cordial and nice. And I go over to her and she starts talking to me about she wants to go to church. I'm like, I can't get you to do that. You're over there. You're over there.
What, is there a church in the hospital anywhere that they can?
No, there isn't.
Well,
I don't think
feel like she was trying to escape Ryan.
No, I don't think she knows she's in a hospital.
No, it was merely an excuse to use you to get her out of there.
Right. Well, she could have tried to astrally project herself somewhere.
Why do you bring that up, Ryan?
Well, Braxton, so I know you were so interested in my lecture on the planes last week, and
it was great.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, students. So Braxton obviously enjoyed it so much that he signed up for my Astral Plane 101 class. So that's where we are.
Really,
here
it's
today.
just because I heard that you give money to your students.
What?
Yeah.
I give money to my students.
What do you give money to your students for, Ryan? I would never actually heard what you do, so I'm curious if you wouldn't mind telling me.
Wait, what do you mean? Now I'm curious.
I don't know. I've gotten myself in a sticky situation here, saying that you're a teacher who gives their student some money for things, so please reel it back.
I give them money for giving me nice, reviews on ratemyprofessor.com.
All right, that's good. You saved it. Thank you. I dug myself in a hole there.
Do you rate me? Can you rate me?
You're not an actual teacher.
I also don't work at a university, so you probably couldn't find me there.
You work in the University of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
the podcast realm.
The University of the Mind.
But yeah, this lady, project? Who?
Yeah. Well, we got to reel it back a little bit, Braxton. We can't just dive into it. Do you remember what we talked about last week with the Astral Plane? Is that all out of your brain already?
If I recall, you'd said things about it being kind of like the space between space.
Yeah, it's the space between everything. Everything relies upon the astral plane existing. So if your world doesn't, or your universe, your multiverse doesn't have the astral plane, then nothing else exists in it. I guess that's not entirely true, but the outer planes can't really exist without the space between the things. It's also kind of like, so this might blow your mind, Braxton. Whenever you step into a portal, or you're projecting yourself onto another plane through some ability, you are moving through the astral plane, and even Dimension Door touches the astral plane, albeit briefly, but it does.
Okay, so, right off the bat there, I guess this is a pretty important place, and maybe that's why you wanted to do this first after our last episode?
Yeah, it is a pretty important place. Lots of things rely on this, and it's just pretty gosh darn cool, man.
Which, at this point, if you haven't realized, we're doing an episode on the Astral Plane.
Yeah.
You've had a couple of clues here with the title and what we're talking about right now, but hey, hi, hello, he's Ryan.
He's Braxton.
This is the Dungeon Crawl. Let's learn a little bit about the Astral Plane.
Let's do it. Let's dungeon crawl through this one. You actually, I'm going to be honest, you can't really have dungeon crawls here because, well, maybe you could if you're thinking outside the box, but this is a tough place because there's not many material things here. There are a few, and we're going to get to those. This is a tough place to introduce dungeons. It's even a tough place to introduce your players to because this can be very dangerous, and it's a lot of the reasons you would go here are much higher levels. So many people probably don't get to experience the beauty that is the astral plane.
Yeah, and I mean, for somebody like me who doesn't know a bunch about the astral plane,
Yeah.
I did the thing any person would, logically do when they want to learn about something. Throw that in the Google machine.
Sure.
Type in astral plane.
Mm-hmm.
First, you get the things that you don't want because there's real world talk about the astral plane. You want D&D 5e.
There is, yeah.
Smack a 5e on that. That was my
Well,
issue in the beginning.
This is, you might not want 5e stuff because 5e doesn't have much on it. I would suggest there's a 2nd edition book about it. There's a 3rd edition book in the Manual of the Planes and a 4th edition Manual of the Planes as well.
Well, that's a good tip.
Yeah. 2nd edition is actually really cool and called Guide to the Astral Plane. It's literally all about it.
Interesting. I mean, I imagine it's one of the first things that anybody really tries to learn about if they're venturing into planes. And I mean, for me, first thing I see is Wikipedia or fandom or whatever the heck, and there's just a bunch of information here. So I figured it would be a good idea for me to look this up from the perspective of somebody who isn't an expert, which I'm really not.
Sure.
So I mean,
he's the idiot.
We went over this last week.
Yeah. No, you're not an idiot. You're a moron.
I'm the moron.
Right. Is that better? I don't know.
It is better. There's a lot of stuff that I could just randomly throw out here, but I figured you have a structure to whatever you looked up.
A little bit. If you have any questions, please feel free to toss them out there.
Well, I mean, why is time so wonky there?
Well, time isn't that wonky. I mean, it's well, okay. So time doesn't exist. It's timelessness in the astral plane. So yeah.
But there's a number to it though. It's like 1,000 real years is one subjective day.
I mean, if you really get specific with it, but really, you don't age while you're in here. You don't. Poison doesn't exist within here. You can only heal through magical means. You can't hunger in here. You don't thirst. It is pretty much timelessness.
Well, I guess I'm just curious about the who, what, when, where, why of this place.
Sure.
Because I mean, otherwise, this sounds like a really boring place to have in D&D. Like, what's the point?
Well, the thing is, like I said, if you want to go anywhere in the planes, you will go through the astral plane, even if you're not realizing it. Going through a portal to another plane, the space between the portal and the plane that you're going to would be the astral plane. You'll be there for 5 seconds or less, but you are passing through the astral plane without even noticing.
Well, you want to know what this sounds like to me?
What?
And this
Anime?
is very no.
Oh,
I'm disappointed that's not what I'm about to say, but this is close to both you and me.
Okay.
That drive from Houston to Denton.
Okay.
So you're basically telling me it's that stretch of nothing between
a section in between where there's nothing. Yeah, so there's a section also, I think heading towards Houston, I don't remember. But my dad and I used to drive there for soccer tournaments when I was a kid. And my dad calls it the zone. There's a section where nothing works. Like you can't use your phone. No, it's just nothingness in this area, and you're in it for like an hour.
True.
It's the zone. The astral plane it's similar to that, I guess.
Hell yeah, I made a good connection.
But the stuff like I think it's planar message. There's certain messages that also go through the astral plane and whatnot. It's also referred to as the astral sea in some places. Because the Githyanki specifically, they're a race that exists here, and we'll get to them as well as later. They have ships.
That was a mouthful.
Githyanki, yeah. They have ships that can sail across this astral plane, so it's kind of referred to as the astral sea in some circumstances. And since you don't have to breathe here, there can be water residing creatures that exist here, and they're just moving around. Like a big... I'm sure I know there's a movie where there's like a floating whale in the clouds. It's like that.
I'm going down a rabbit hole. I'll apologize. You mentioned the Githyanki, so I click on that link in the Wikipedia.
Yeah, you want me to describe them, or
hold on. If
I was gonna get to the denizens later,
age,
but yeah,
you can't reproduce there.
Why not?
Well, your kid's gonna be a fetus forever.
Yeah, but you could go to a different plane.
So how do these Githyanki age?
They're planar travelers.
Oh, okay. Then there's my answer.
Yeah, we'll get to the. I have a whole section on the denizens of the plane.
This isn't the Gith Yankee episode or the Astral Plane episode.
Yeah, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves on who resides there. Well, that was I mentioned them. That's my fault. It's kind of like when you
I'm
really
curious.
are.
I'm a sponge.
Yeah, when you are a professor, be careful what you mention because then you might get off on a tangent for 3 hours and then oh shoot, it's time for the students to go elsewhere.
Yeah, and then like the situations where you have a teacher and you get them on a topic that they always talk about, and you end up not having to do any of the lesson because they talk about.
But then the test is still about the stuff that they didn't talk about, and you fail.
Now, whose fault is that?
Professors.
Exactly.
All right. So let's describe what the plane looks like. So let's say, Braxton, you decide, you know what? I just hit level 20. Or whatever level you get, level 9 spells at. I don't remember exactly what time I had. You just hit a level, you get this big boy spell. I'm going to astrally project myself onto the astral plane. What do I see? Well, you would see pretty much a great endless nothingness of a kind of a clear silver sky, both above and below you. You see clouds moving in the distance. Not really a wind, but you could maybe interpret it as a wind, as there is some sort of things called psychic storms, and there are storms that exist in here as well, but they aren't like typical storms you would imagine on the material plane. There are also whirlpools of various colors that flicker in midair around you, almost like a spinning coin, and the colors that they show correspond to different planes that you could teleport to if you were to venture inside of this whirlpool. There are occasional bits of matter that you see floating around, but the majority of this plane is just an endless open expanse.
It just sounds like space.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
pretty much.
Okay. There we go. End of the episode.
I mean, it's not dark, though.
Oh. Why not?
Because there's light.
But I assume that comes from other planes.
Who knows where it comes from. It is always light here. There is no sunset or sunrise. It's just always a perpetual existence of light in this space.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I need an explanation, but I don't think you have one.
I don't know if anyone does. I think it's above the scope of human knowledge.
You tell me we're not getting cold, hard answers this episode?
No, you don't with any of the planes, really.
That sucks.
But there are some traits that the plane does abide by. Like we discussed, It is timelessness, more or less. There isn't any gravity. You move with thought, as we discussed in the last episode. You think you want to go somewhere, so you do, which means to move on this plane, you have to have an intelligence. If your intelligence score is 0, then you can't do anything, which is a problem. But, who's going here?
Would you just be trapped there?
I mean, you can be moved, you can be pushed, but you yourself can't move.
So then my question is, what happens if there are two people or things with intelligent thought and they want to move in the same direction, or something makes them cross paths? What determines
they bump into each other?
Yeah,
you still have a physical presence here. It's not like unless
like two people want to go to the same exact spot.
Yeah, you just boom hit each other and whoever got there first.
Morph into each other and become an abomination.
Though if you are astrally projecting, you're not really a physical being, but you are, and so maybe you'll kind of cross into each other. I don't know.
I mean, there are abominations here, apparently.
Well, yeah, there's lots of weird things there.
This seems like a place that nothing would be.
Well, let's get there. So, who are the denizens of the plane? Braxton may ask, as he just did. First, you have the planar travelers, such as Braxton. He's a planar traveler currently, astrally projecting himself. You can either encounter these travelers in a physical form or in their astral form, which is what Braxton is in currently. Some say that the physical form is, or that the astral form is more dangerous. If you see someone as an astral being here, it means they're probably a higher intellect. This is such a high level spell that this is to get there, to be able to use this ability, they are obviously very strong. If you're coming here physically, then you get a few extra benefits, as you don't have to deal with the silver cord on your body, which we'll get to that on the astral form in a second. But you can get to the astral plane with your physical form by, just walking through a portal or something like that, which is, maybe safe. Who knows? The astral form, though, has a few benefits, meaning if you die on the astral plane or on a plane that you teleported to through the portals, your physical self on the material plane is fine. You will just teleport back there as if nothing ever happened.
Well, does it damage you psychologically or do any psychic
it's
damage?
It's almost like a bad dream. Like you wake up.
But I mean, the dream spell does damage to you.
Yeah, but this doesn't.
But that's interesting. Okay.
Because this is, dream is a 5th level spell.
Yeah. So why does the 5th level spell do damage and the 20th doesn't?
The 9th level, because 9th level is stronger. Oh. And also, is dream, you're not going to the astral plane, are you?
No, you're not. I've seen in a lot of any sort of media that someone traveling via the mind, like you die in the game, you die in real life sort of thing.
Well, there are ways for the astral self to die. It's just important to think. So when you're astrally projecting yourself, astrally projecting yourself, there is a silver cord that connects your physical self, to your astral self.
Is this easy to see?
Yeah, you can see it. This silver cord is there, and if it ever becomes in danger. I mean, it's not often this thing is able to be severed or anything. If it is severed, though, you are immediately killed.
Oh.
Because your soul can no longer return to its body. Your soul is basically what's being projected. And if this is sliced, you're gone.
What can slice it, though?
Not many things.
So there are things, though.
There are indeed things.
Well, tell me.
Okay, so the things that can cut it are a astral dreadnought.
An entire ship?
Nope, that's a thing. That's a person. I mean, not a humanoid, but it's a creature. As well as a Githyanki silver sword.
Why do these guys get that power?
Because they reside on this plane. They have understood it long enough that they have created swords that can sever these. They prey, basically, on travelers within the plane.
I do not like the look of this astral dreadnought.
Yes, they're nasty, nasty guys.
It's got big-ass claws for pincing my silver cord that I'm currently dangling behind my butt.
Yeah. But even so these guys, even so that they can cut it, it's still not easy for them. They have to hit a natural 20. They have to hit a critical hit. So
nice.
It's rare.
So cool looking.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff on the astral plane. It's very dangerous.
Sever silver cord. If the astral dreadnought scores a critical hit against a creature traveling through the astral plane by means of astral projection spell, dreadnought cut the target silver cord instead.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Holy hell!
So now you may ask, what happens to what's going on with your physical form while you're astrally projecting yourself? Any queries, Braxton? What do you think?
Nothing.
Yes, but what does it look like? What do you think?
You're sleeping.
Pretty much, yeah. And anything
what happens if you open your eyes, or somebody opens your eyeball?
Nothing happens. But things that are done to your material self, like the direction you're heading, can affect your astral self. So, for example, Braxton, let's say you have an amulet on your person, and you actually project with this amulet, and then say it helps you out in some way. I don't know, it gives you a +1 to your AC, whatever the hell. If someone finds your physical body, takes this amulet, the amulet disappears from your astral self as well. So you lose that ability.
Hold on, please repeat that.
If somebody takes an item on your physical body, it disappears from your astral form.
Okay.
And if your physical form is killed, you obviously are killed as well.
So what happened? There's some vagueness there.
Sure.
What happens if I put my big old fat hands and hold a giant spaceship or a ship or something, and then astral project?
Well, it's not like an item, It's not something that you have.
But
it's not anything you're holding. It's your. All right, you want to get? Let's open up the actual astral projection spell. Let's see exactly what it says.
Okay, go ahead.
So you and 8 willing creatures within range project your astral bodies into the astral plane. Yeah.
8?
Yes. Yeah. And for some reason, it decides to have the extra text saying that the spell fails in the casting is wasted if you're already on the plane. I don't know why you would cast astral projection while you're on the astral plane. The material body you leave behind is unconscious and in a state of suspended animation. Oh yeah, this is important too. It does not age, or it does not need food and doesn't age. So you could be astrally projecting yourself for a long time. Your astral body resembles your mortal form in almost every way, replicating your game statistics and possessions. The principal difference is the silver cord that we mentioned, that rests or that extends between your shoulder blades and trails behind you, fading to invisibility after 1 foot. So you can't see. It's not like there's a bunch of cords all throughout the astral plane. It only up to 1 foot. Yeah, that's about all it talks about for just as your possessions.
So I will have to apologize to you because I'm just continuously reading this Astral Dreadnought guy.
Yeah.
So can we talk about him a little bit?
Sure.
Or is that off limits?
I mean, we can talk about him. There's just not much to talk about him with.
He's cool.
He is cool.
He's really cool.
I mean, yeah.
He's got a demi-planar dungeon that he can frickin' send you to for 2 actions.
True. But a lot of things can do that.
No other means in the... What? Huh?
Like banishment stuff. It's not much different.
Oh. I just think he's a space crab that is death and frickin' scary looking.
Yeah. He's very powerful.
I like creatures.
The Githyanki do hunt these guys, but not successfully, as you would imagine.
Mm.
Yeah. They are powerful.
Slug lobster. They're so cool.
So those are the denizens. Those are the planar travelers. Any questions on the travelers?
No.
Okay. The travelers do inhabit the majority of the people that are going through this plane, but they obviously don't reside there. So as Braxton asks, who lives within this plane? Who could call this their home? Well, there's a few. There are refugees from other planes that come here. Let's say their plane is having lots of issues. They say, you know what, let's escape to the astral plane. I'm sure that's safer. Especially if you could think of, let's say you're getting attacked by, you're really hurt, you're getting damaged or something, and you have an ability, you're able to astrally project yourself, you're able to get into the astral plane, even physically. You can't die. You're not going to die there from your wounds. Like, let's say you're poisoned or something. This could be a place for you to come back to your full self before you return to the material plane. And then the Githyanki.
Githyanki?
Yeah, so the Githyanki are from a race of people called the Gith, and there was a schism in their grouping after they...
Did they get yanked?
No.
The Gith got yanked.
So there's the Githyanki and the Githzerai, but both of them, they're a race of outcasts, and they were controlled, they were slaves of the Mind Flayers, and they escaped their tyranny, almost pretty much to form their own bloodthirsty reign that exists now within the astral plane, and they prey upon travelers that come to the plane, and often will travel to other planes to kind of rain havoc and steal things and come back. They're very, very militaristic society.
Well, something I just realized about the threat of going through the astral plane is anything that lives here has to be able to somehow cut your cord, otherwise you can't die.
Yeah, but they're not always trying to just...
Yeah. But, I mean, without that, there's no threat to traveling through the astral plane.
True.
Am I correct?
No, you are correct. If you are actually projecting yourself, if you're going there physically, there are, obviously you can be killed. But if you're using the spell astral projection, that's why most people would prefer to astrally project themselves. It is indeed safer to travel. Unless you run into certain creatures.
Does this cord, and sorry I'm asking so many questions about it.
No, that's fine.
Is there an actual location in the astral plane that this cord is going back to?
It's going back
or is it just
it goes to your body.
There? So
your
could you,
material form,
in theory, follow it?
To get home?
I mean, I'm sure you would. It's an infinite space, right?
Yeah, so not really.
So not really, but I like thinking about literal interpretations of really abstract things like this because it's like a paradox?
The problem with following it back home is when you teleport yourself in with astral projecting, there's no exit portal. There's no entrance that you're heading into, so there's no way to exit from that portal.
Yeah.
And going along that line, a lot of the pools, the planar pools that you can go into and teleport yourself to other planes, a lot of those, majority of the time, are a one-way ticket.
Okay.
The color pools tend to are a one-way teleporter. You go into it and there's no way back, unless you obviously astral project yourself again or find a way into the astral plane. Some are two-way access, but more often than not, it's just a one-way.
Yeah, I guess I got to realize that not everything needs to be like a video game where you enter and exit, like the player is being catered to. There's just these portals that go to the astral plane, and you're fucked if you go into them. That's your fault.
Yeah.
Damn. Kind of brutal. And you'd probably die here because there's really nothing to eat unless you just brought an infinite.
Well, you don't get hungry.
This place is very weird.
Yeah, you don't hunger. So the Githyanki, they do have cities here, though. They do have a society of cities. And their cities are built upon the bodies of dead deities. Let that sink in for a second. Dead
Do they
gods.
wait for them to die?
No, they're already here. The astral plane is full of dead deities. Some say they aren't truly dead, that they're just sleeping and waiting for their followers to remember them and bring them back to life. But they are just floating here. And the Githyanki use their bodies as structures for their massive cities.
Are there any examples of well-known gods?
Oh, well, I mean, depends on your world. But no, the idea being that these gods are forgotten 100%. They're just floating husks, more or less.
That's really cool.
And the Githyanki have a city called Tunerith that is their largest, kind of like their capital. And it's built upon one of these dead gods.
So if you don't age and you don't need to eat, and I'm sure there are empty expanses in the astral plane that have nothing between them for ages.
Sure, that's
so even if you wanted to think about going to a spot, you would not have any reference.
Well, you more so just think, I want to go north. I want to head this direction. Not really thinking I want to head to Tunerith.
Well, being sent here would friggin' suck.
Yeah, you don't want to be sent here.
Because you won't die from old age. You don't get hungry. You just would be thinking for all eternity.
Mm-hmm. Until you run into an astral dreadnought or a Githyanki ship.
Well, you know what this makes me think about?
What?
Imagine like Nicol Bolas or somebody like that, right? From Magic the Gathering.
Okay. Yeah.
Some sort of mage, magic
prison
user, a guy that wants to become all powerful and learn how to use magics, but he needs a place to study and learn for as long as possible. Would the astral plane be a good place to put your villain and have them kind of get more powerful without interruption?
If you don't want to make them a lich, yeah. If you make them a lich, they can just live forever already. But
oh, okay, damn. Well, I tried.
Well, no, I mean, if they don't want to become a lich, then this is a good place for them to study forever. And you could even, maybe they could get some Githyanki on their side, or who knows? They could find something. Maybe they could wake one of these dead gods, and there's some cool ideas definitely residing within this world.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty more we could learn about it, but I'm curious about how to implement this into a campaign. I'm sure you've got a group of things like the Githyanki and monsters here, so any DM could really just run with that. But what do you do with this if your players are going here for an extended period of time?
Obviously, if they're heading here, you probably already have a few ideas on, a quest. More often than not, like I said, this and how we started this, it really is just kind of a place in between. There's not many quests that probably would take you directly to the plane, to the astral plane. More often than not, it will take you somewhere past it. You need to go into the astral plane to find a portal to take you into another plane. And so the quest being, I have to find this specific thing, this specific place, and try to survive long enough to get there. So there are lots of hazards that exist here. One of my favorite being, so remember how we mentioned that you have to have an intellect to be able to move in this plane, right?
Right.
So what are some things that don't have intellects?
Like zero?
Not zero, but things that don't have minds of their own.
Like thralls,
Yeah,
zombies.
sure. Skeletons, things that are
Yeah.
raised.
Yeah.
So there is a thing that was mentioned in the second edition of the guides to the Astral Plane that I just fell in love with, called the Bone Cloud. It's basically it's referring to a necromancy, a necromantic army that was created, and somehow it was teleported to the Astral Plane. This gigantic army of undead creatures, and because they can't move, it is just a cloud of undead creatures floating in this endless space.
So, does the idea of having to think to move and do things extend to moving your body? And like
No.
just moving your arm?
No, you can move your arms and stuff.
If you like stumbled into this, it would not be pleasant.
Yes, they would 100% attack you. It's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Could
Just seeing a
anybody
cloud.
weaponize this? I'm sure you could teleport it out of there, but
Oh,
in the
I'm
astral
sure.
plane, what could you what could you do with that?
I'm sure you could, if you piss off a Gith Yankee guy, maybe he'll tell you to, hey, head off in that direction. Run into the skeletal hands.
That's amazing.
It's
What
not
book did you say this was?
This isn't a guide to the Astral Plane, a
amazing.
second edition D&D book.
I mean, did it have anything else like that?
It does mention a place called, let me scroll it here, the the Aether Citadel. It says a major faction and presence on the Astral Plane is the Aether Citadel. These folks love being around dead powers. It shows that the powers are no better than any mortal in their eyes. They have this whole faction that exists. This is, like I said, this is a great book for wanting to use the Astral Plane. Obviously, it's I would say it's a pretty edition agnostic. There's no like roles or anything in here, just ideas. And it even has a map of what the Citadel looks like and the people that reside within there. It's a very cool, useful tool.
Yeah, I mean, I would always recommend doing that because I unfortunately do a lot of improv in my sessions when I actually enjoy planning a bit more. And you know our opinions on all of that, but reading this is such a great way to expand your mind for all this crap. I mean, there's a reason why Ryan can talk about these things for episodes at a time and why I'm the person that is asking all the questions. God, is it interesting?
It is super. That's why I just sink into this stuff. Like I knew some of the Astral Plane, and like, you know what, let's dive into, because the most Astral stuff I ever used was the 4th edition book. And then I heard about this 2nd edition book. So like, okay, let's see if we can learn more about it. And my God, it's fantastic.
So is this basically just the plane's trash can?
Yeah, it's funny you ask that. So when something has to go somewhere, let's say something has to travel somewhere, but has nowhere else to go, it'll often end up here. This kind of is like it's trash can. Yeah.
It's D&D space trash can.
If it has to go somewhere but can't go somewhere, this is where it goes.
Which also reminds me, because in D&D, I mean, there's a lot of different interpretations of technological advancement. There is space in D&D, right?
Yeah.
Like, not just planes.
Yeah,
Planes
like
aren't
above
space.
the world that you're on, yeah.
God. It's just hard for me to separate the idea that these aren't just out there and they're like space. That's what I'm not struggling with it, but it's just, these are so similar to outer space and the universe when that's not even what it is. It's so freaking huge.
I mean, you could think of this as a form of outer space, and the color pools being other planets. You know, you go to the color pool and it takes you to the plane of the abyss or the hells.
Yeah, but I mean, is there a clarification that this is truly just a different universe in a sense?
Yeah, I mean, each plane is its own plane of existence.
Yeah, because that's my question, because of course you've got different galaxies and whatnot, and plane doesn't scream at me alternate universe, so I'm curious as to how that's defined. Like, if you just traveled in a spaceship in space in your D&D world off of your planet, I don't think you would run into naturally any of these.
No.
Even if you could travel infinite amounts.
No, you would
You
not.
need a portal.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's how I can make sense of it.
You can start thinking about it.
My tiny human brain cannot comprehend
you're
these planes.
Poor mortal.
That's why I play a warlock, man. I'm curious about these things.
Yeah, but you're curious about the far realm. That's a different place.
Oh man, if we ever do that. I don't want to now because like we have to finish our campaign in order, like I think I said that at the end of last episode, we have to finish our campaign.
And then talk about it.
Yeah, because I don't want to know much. Than what you gave me last time. I was like,
yeah, you just want to keep eating it.
Yeah.
Eat it all up.
Mm-hmm. Man, being able to experience D&D kind of for the first time. That's really me in a sense. Like I'm a DM, yeah, but I don't read a lot of things, so I can't metagame.
Yeah, you just do your own thing.
Too often. Yeah. There's a lot of D&D veterans out there that wish they could have a pure brain like mine. Without knowing all these things.
Well, someone that doesn't have a pure mind at all is this creature that I've yet to mention because they don't really fit in any of the other denizens. They're called a berbalang. Say that three times fast. It's fun to say, isn't it?
Berbalang.
Yeah, it bounces off the mouth. Very fun. Berbalang.
Kind of does.
So berbalangs, they creep across the petrified and decaying remains of these dead gods that are just left adrift on the astral plane. And they use the bodies of these gods to gather secrets from them. They talk to dead things all the time. They inhabit, they find the secrets that are within the bones of dead creatures and call their spirit to life and try to divulge what they learned. And they're almost like the Mordenkainen's tome says, they're almost like weird oracles in a way, where they get these secrets from these long dead entities and share them with travelers and whatnot. Usually for, kind of like a exchange of knowledge. You give me this, I give you that.
I'm reading that they had a complex ritual for courtship and mating. Can you extrapolate on that?
For what, the berbalang?
Yeah.
It's not in this book. Read what you have.
It's about its ecology. Most of its life was spent in a coma, with its spirit wandering the astral plane. Its spirit would stalk other astral creatures, kind of in accordance with what you said. The berbalang had a complex ritual for courtship and mating. The only food was freshly killed human flesh.
Nice.
Its only food was freshly killed human flesh. It returned to the prime material plane to feed once a month on the full moon, usually for 3 days. To find a suitable layer, it would manifest an exact duplicate of itself, a projection. This projection would roam up to 3 miles from the berbalang's physical body.
Yeah. That's cool.
You can't just drop complex ritual for courtship and not tell me. Courtship and mating.
That's not in my thing, okay?
Well, it should be.
That's what you get for researching on your own time.
I'm not even researching my own time. I'm just looking right now. Googling. I'm doing a goggle.
He's Googling.
Yeah. You nothing. Zero.
No,
Zero things.
Nothing on it, man.
Also, I know you don't care about.
I care about it a lot.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're gonna say, but I care.
It's neutral evil in 5e, but 2e and 1e was chaotic evil.
Yes, things changed a lot between editions. That's why I think an alignment's not a huge deal to keep in mind.
These guys' design is kind of boring.
What, the berbalang?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they can do a spectral duplicate. That's kind of cool.
What do you... No, I meant just like art
How
design.
they look?
Yeah.
Well, they look dope, dude. What are you talking about?
What pictures are you looking at? I just see a weird, scraggly, big-headed, gargoyle-looking dude.
Looking at Bones?
Yeah.
You don't think he looks cool?
I think he looks lame, and he's a challenge rating 2, and I could flick him and he'd be dead.
Well, that's not the point, man. The point is that they get things from dead beings. I don't care.
Oh, they're dead. I guess they can't fight back, huh?
I don't care how many speak with deads you cast. I don't think you're going to be able to talk to a dead god, but this guy can extract
combat. The berbalang used its ability to fly to give it an advantage during combat. It doesn't matter because you can't fly in the astral plane.
Well, he's not always in the astral plane. They go to the material plane every so often.
Oh.
The Gith Yankee use them as spies sometimes.
Okay, that's a little cooler.
Remember how there's some creatures within the monster manual that are mainly just for flavor stuff. I think this is one of those guys.
Yeah. Also remember, Ryan, how I will dislike any monster until you tell me about it. My
That's
default
true.
is disliking something.
Yeah,
which
you
is probably
hated
not
Knowles, and
very
then you fell in love with him.
This is for the sake of the podcast. I've got to challenge you.
Well, okay.
God, this is really cool, though.
The only thing we haven't really touched on is the psychic storms within the astral plane. And you asked me earlier, how do you go to a place like this and not lose your mind? Well, the psychic storms will have you lose your mind.
Okay.
There are storms, like I mentioned, but these are more extreme storms. And these are big issues for any traveler, astral projecting or not, as the intense winds and craziness of these storms can push you into other planes. It's nigh impossible to outrun these too, and I can just imagine. So you're in this empty expanse with this, it's kind of pretty, it's very light and in here. And then you see the section in front of you just slowly start to darken and get closer and closer, and then start speeding up. And if you start trying to, move away, it catches you within seconds, and then the entirety of the area is just in pure darkness, and you're just getting whisked around, and possibly you get thrust through a color portal, and now you're in the abyss, and like, oh shit, I can't get out of here. What the hell am I going to do? Either that, or it affects your mind, or it does both. It pushes you into the plane and it affects your mind. What type of effects, you may ask? Let me get it here.
I was actually going to ask you how the astral plane affected people.
Well, now you know. So, in the terms of the game, the psychic wind effects, you can be stunned for a minute. You can get short-term madness. You can get 2d10 psychic damage, 4d10 psychic damage, long-term madness, or unconscious for 1d10 minutes.
That's not that bad.
But short-term and long-term madness, that's pretty bad.
I mean, how can it be solved? Fixed?
Madness?
Alleviated? Yeah.
Well, technically there is a intelligence saving throw for when that happens, but
Yeah.
But madness is madness, man.
It's fun.
I would love to introduce madness in our game because I want to see how people would roleplay, because you really have to, because all the madness effects have to be roleplayed.
I just got a spell, so.
Well, your madness is different.
What?
You're insane mad. You're insane is different than short-term and long-term madness. For example, a long-term madness effect is the character experiences vivid hallucinations and has disadvantage on ability checks.
Oh, I had that in Kenneth's campaign once.
There you go.
Really early on, like 5th level.
And you really have to, play these up.
Yeah, because it's literal just metagame or don't stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, we should do an episode on madness.
They are fun. I have
Write that down.
Oh god. I have never brought them into the game because they can be. It's one of those things where you want to make sure your players are okay with, because they can really change how your character is played.
So,
and as a DM, it can be kind of sticky to mess with players that.
Sorry, Robin and Nikki, but I think Daniel and I would be okay with it, or at least we know you wouldn't force us to do it forever, and the fact that we're talking about it right now.
Long-term madness lasts for 1d10 times 10 hours. Short-term madness lasts up to 10 minutes.
You made me blind, tasteless, deaf, like everything.
I did
once, so.
but there was quite a delay on that. You could have stopped at any point.
Yeah,
but you didn't.
No.
Because you're stubborn.
Just we're getting into spooky stuff now, so no bars hold.
No bars are held.
Held?
I don't know.
You can't hold anything in the astral plane.
Yeah, you can.
Oh.
You can pick things up. So yeah, if you can pick things up with your astral form, but you can't really bring them back with you. And very interesting. You mentioned different editions have different things. The difference between the astral projection in 3rd edition compared to now is, in the astral projection spell for 3rd edition, you can step through one of these portals and you're still considered to be projecting yourself. And your physical form is not there. It reforms to a kind of out of the matter of that plane. So if you go to the Hells, then your new physical form there is either resistant or completely immune to fire damage, because you're literally built out of the plane itself.
So this is if you go there physically?
No, this is if you astrally project yourself in third edition through a portal into the hells, and it'd be like that for other ones. But in fifth edition, it's different. If you were to astrally project yourself in fifth edition now, your physical form gets rebuilt on the new plane that you go to after you make your way through the astral plane, and so your physical form then no longer exists on the material plane, and you are brought through the astral plane using your silver cord. Your entire being gets teleported to that new plane.
So did you mention Tunarath earlier?
Yes, with the gift.
I'm looking
Yankee.
at an image of that.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
That's so cool looking.
Look
You guys got to
everybody.
do a Google for these things sometimes, man, I swear.
You see that there's that head in there?
Yeah, there's like chains going to a castle from its eye sockets.
That's a dead god.
It's so sad.
The Gith Yankee, we could do a whole episode because they're fascinating. They have not even the Gith, we can just do it on the Gith itself, the Gith Yankee and the Gith Zerai, from their wee beginnings as slaves of the Mind Flayers.
Where do the Gith come from, though?
Well, where do the what's the word I'm looking for? The Mind
Gith
Flayers
was
come
one
from.
of the Cthulhu.
Okay,
Far realms?
yeah. Yes, they come from the Far Realms, and the Gith were, I believe. I'm going to be honest. I don't know exactly where they came from itself.
So hold on. Where's he? Okay, so Gith was an actual person, though. There is a Gith race, but Gith was one of the leaders of the Thrall rebellion that toppled the Illithid Empire 1,000 years ago. Okay, off topic. Let's go to the Gith race.
Well, the Illithids are the Mind Flayers.
Bruh.
And they were slaves of them, and they beat their booties to get out of that enslavement, and now reside as the Gith Yankee as well as the Gith Zerai.
How do you break enslavement as a thrall? That seems impossible.
I don't believe they were thralls.
Oh.
I think they were just like kind of used by them.
Philosophical differences led to a bitter internal conflict?
Between, Gith Yankee and Gith Zerai, yeah. All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves. This needs to be a full podcast on the Gith. They are a very fascinating and underused beast.
Are they beasts, though?
Well, beasts isn't like...
That's scary.
Creatures.
Yeah, we should do an episode on these guys.
There's a whole section on them in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes.
Gith, common, draconic, deep.
And you could be a Gith character. They have a whole trait system on the in the Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes if you want to become a Gith.
They know deep speech.
They do. Because they were,
That's my shit.
And all that jazz.
Oh, man, I'm getting off topic. It's okay to do that at the end of the episode, right?
No, it's not. Not at all.
Shit. Well, let's get back on topic. What else you got?
That's about it, man. I mean, there's lots of things within the astral plane, but that's it within a cohesive, understandable nutshell. There's more, obviously, if you want to delve into the books that I've mentioned, but that's the basis.
I mean, what would you recommend for somebody that wants to make something within the astral plane that can fit in this plane?
What do you mean? How do you mean make something?
What if I'm a DM and I like creating things, and
Mm-hmm.
I do also like having structure.
Yeah.
So I want to make a thing, something, anything in the astral plane.
So there's something that's not in a book or anything.
Yes. What fits here?
I would think outside the box, similar to like something like the Bone Cloud. I think is very cool.
That's really
think about the traits of this plane, and think about something that doesn't adhere to those traits, and how it fits in there. For example, like how I mentioned the whale moving around. Maybe it somehow got into a portal, and now it's within this plane. It doesn't have to have any water. It's fine, just moving about. It's like it literally is like an astral sea as well.
I feel like a good setting for this, or whenever your players are here for a bit and you've got some eerie, weird music going on. Something great for that would even be the Dungeon Crawl's opening theme for the first good bit of it. I could give you the name of that song, but it's so great. Just imagine explaining, like, you see a giant whale, not unlike those in the oceans of your own world, floating by. Just, whoa. Okay, does sound travel here?
Yeah.
There's no air.
Was that your whale interpretation?
What if it was?
It wasn't good, if that's what it was.
Can you do a better one?
Dory would be very upset.
Who?
Dory from Finding Nemo? Are you kidding
I heard
me?
you say, like, Doru, and I was like, who is that?
Dory.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry. I can't do a good whale impression.
That's all right.
No, it's not. It's not good, Ryan. I need work. I'm a DM. I gotta have a category. Not category. Repertoire of
Arsenal.
things I can do.
Yeah.
Arsenal. That sort of stuff. It's gotta happen.
No one's going to ask you to do a whale voice. For some reason, Braxton thought I could do a really good snow.
God, what? Ah,
You guys were walking
do
through
it.
ice. You thought it sounded, or snow. You thought it sounded really good, the one I was
do
doing.
it now.
I don't even know what I did.
It was so real. I thought there was snow in my brain, man.
Snow, that doesn't sound good. You don't want snow anywhere but on the floor or in a ball form and hitting
At your
someone in the face.
in your brain. See?
What? It doesn't get into your brain. Do you know how anatomy works?
Yeah, you could. I'm sure your ear at some point goes into your brain.
Yeah, but I don't think snow can get that far. It'll melt before it gets there.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What if it's never melt ice?
What are you, like on the plane of ice or something?
No, I think that's in Pokemon.
No, plane of ice exists.
Well, I mean, the never melt ice is, I think, a held item in Pokemon. Ryan, that's what I'm saying.
I've never played Pokemon, man. You can't be making references.
You got a
to
Switch
stuff.
coming, Ryan. You got to play Pokemon.
I don't, you know what, Braxton? I don't want to.
Why?
All
Why
right,
not?
every Pokemon fan out there, cover your ears.
Okay, hot take. Let's go.
I don't like Pokemon.
Why?
I don't know,
You gotta
man.
explain.
It just doesn't seem interesting to me. I've played
But
it.
why?
I played it briefly on my phone, and it just
Which one?
with the one of the ones everyone suggested me to play.
Everyone suggests everyone to play because everybody
Probably-
likes one of them.
Probably Emerald is the one I played.
That's a good one.
Is it though? No, actually,
What
it wasn't.
didn't
It
you
wasn't
like?
Emerald. It was a black and white one.
No,
Or maybe it was
it was a
just
black and white one.
Or maybe
Then
it
that
was
was from heckin' forever ago.
Or maybe it was just an emulator on the phone that made black and white. I don't know, man. Either way, Pokemon sucks.
I don't get you.
Maybe I just haven't played the right one, okay?
I think
All right.
that's true.
I did see the Pokemon movie a long time ago, and I like that.
Yeah, you like worlds and expanses and cute and cool characters.
They're
and
not that cute, though, I'm going to be honest.
Oh boy.
Some of them are...
You're trying my patience, Ryan. This podcast, you and I, you don't hear it, but we do some fighting off of the screen here.
Yeah, I hate Braxton.
We hate each other so much.
Yeah, I beat him up earlier.
With his real long arms all the way from
got a
Texas
black eye or
to
two.
Illinois. Yeah, I got 5 black eyes. He hit me so hard. Knocked me all the way into the astral plane, he did. But I
hope
got
not.
back. I fought. Swam
You made it into
through
a
the
portal?
astral puddle.
I got a
got
question for
through.
you, Braxton, before we wrap up this. Name a plane, and then I want you to name what color you think responds to that plane.
I mean,
So this is a quiz. So let's say you were to somehow get into the astral plane and you wanted to go to a certain plane. What color are you looking for, man?
the plane of water.
All right.
Blue.
I hate to break it to you.
Don't you
But-
dare. No.
Now, first of all, if you're using the Dungeon Master's Guide, you can't get to any of the elemental planes through the astral, through an
Okay.
astral color pool. But if we're going to use the third edition, then let's see. The plane of water is a drumroll, please. A dark blue color. See, you could have accidentally gone into the plane of air though, because that's a pale blue color.
Well, it's why?
And there are also portals to demi-planes here.
Gehenna.
Okay, what color?
Okay. Like a deep red maroon.
A deep red maroon. All right.
Hell is just red, and the demon plane is like near black.
Hold on. Whoa, you're getting way ahead of yourself here.
I'm just sharing with you my rationalization here.
All right. So Gehenna is the color of russet. which is kind of a not really a dark brown, but kind of a medium brown. If I had to put a strength to it.
Russet.
Yeah, I had to look it up too a little bit ago.
How do you spell it?
Rust, like rust, but add an S and add an E. The 9 hells are ruby.
That's kind of that's pretty brown. If I've ever seen brown,
And the
with a little
abyss
bit of red in
is amethyst.
Oh, that's pretty.
Limbo is jet black.
Ooh. Did you see the news about Baldur's Gate 3?
Yes, no. Oh, early access later this year. Yeah.
I know that's how Larian has typically done their games. Like Divinity had an early access. How do you feel about that? A lot of people are kind of like a bit worried that they're going to do this.
I'll definitely wait until it's fully done. 100%.
Yeah.
I would prefer them to wait until it's fully released, like fully done. But I know, like you said, this is how they've done things in the past, so this might just be how they're most comfortable doing stuff.
Yeah. I think people were just hoping for just a massive like drop. Like here's Baldur's Gate 3 complete and done. You know, conversely, you've got games coming out half complete, basically in an early access state. So Larian does it literally, but properly. They release an early access game as early access so they can fix it. But a lot of people were saying they want to have a QA team that can quality assure the game internally and not have to do this early access thing.
For those that don't know what you're talking about, what is Baldur's Gate 3?
It's a top-down isometric RPG, super, super popular back in the day. Think the likes of, similar to, not in genre, Fallout, the original ones, 1 and 2.
Or Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
Yeah. So it's cool. Larian, the people who made one of my favorite games, Divinity Original Sin 2, and all of the ones prior, are making it, which is awesome because they're a great studio. But they've put a lot of their other projects on hold for this, which is good because it's going to be great. But what I don't remember, is it going to be isometric?
I don't know if they've talked about it too much.
Interesting.
I know they discussed if it's going to be turn-based or not as well, and we're not too sure either.
Yeah.
At least I believe.
I would be a fan of a Disco Elysium isometric experience, but I also, of course, love having a more intimate third-person or first-person.
Did you mention it's in the Forgotten Realms?
What?
Baldur's Gate?
Huh?
Baldur's Gate is a city within the Forgotten Realms.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's why it's D&D, because it literally takes place in like their most popular setting.
That's really cool. No, I had no idea.
And do you know the guy, the dark elf Drizzt?
No.
You never heard of this guy?
No.
Drizzt Do'Urden?
No.
Oh, well, do you know? Have you ever heard of the author R.A. Salvatore?
Nope.
That's right, Braxton doesn't read.
Talk to me about anime.
Well, R.A. Salvatore is an author, and he's written a bunch of Forgotten Realms books about this guy named Drizzt Do'Urden. He is also featured, and he features within the Baldur's Gate games.
That's cool.
It's cool.
I'm excited.
And there's beholders and all sorts of stuff in those.
Behold, this game should be good, I hope, because I want to play it. I've bought so many games lately that I have just not touched, and I never thought I'd be that kind of person.
I am that kind of person. I have been since Steam first had a sale in like 15 years ago.
No, I don't even buy games on sale. I just get full price games, and then I don't touch them.
Like Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah, well, I think that was on sale.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure it was. But I was talking. Oh, it was loud. Stop it, Steam. You're assaulting my ears. Get out of here.
Oh, my word. What
Did
just
you hear
happened
that?
to you? No, I don't know what just happened to you.
I was getting all sorts of notifications. I got to go clean the blood out of my ears from Windows blowing off my...
God. Make sure you don't do that in the Astral Plane, because you can't heal it there.
Damn. Well, while I go clean my ears out of blood from the sounds that have assaulted me, I just wanted to thank you guys for listening to this episode.
No, yeah, I want to thank you for being a part of it, Braxton.
Thank you for teaching me things.
Thanks for coming to the Astral Plane 101 class.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm a little disappointed. Do we ever have a field trip to go to the Astral Plane?
I don't know if we want to.
Well, I mean, aren't you level 20? Can't you cast Astral Projection, Professor?
But it's not safe, man. We just talked about
we
all
got
these
6
things
people in this class. We'll have to...
we just talked about all the things that can sever the cord there. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Maybe
what we could do
one day. What?
Possibly next week head to the Shadowfell.
That's scary.
Oh, but it's cool.
If it's cool, does it outweigh the scary?
I think so. You could bring a friend if you're really that scared.
I could bring a friend. Can I bring Kenneth?
Sure, why not?
Okay, yeah. We'll go to the Shadowfell. Bring Kenneth. I'll be a little less scared with Kenneth.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Make sure you tune in for next episode then, guys. Shadowfell with a special guest for episode 30.
We hope so.
Hope so, yeah. Hopefully it'll work out.
Oh, is it 30?
Yeah, it is 30.
Oh, man.
What?
We're getting old.
Are we?
We've been doing this for more than half a year.
That's not right.
It is right.
Is it?
Isn't
Really?
it?
When did we start?
June.
You don't know when we started?
July. Buzz Sprout.
July 30th was our first episode.
Okay. So.
How long has that been?
1, 2,
1,
3,
2,
4,
3.
5, 6, 7. Yeah,
Oh,
it'll
you're
be
right.
7 months. Well, the 30th doesn't happen this year, so.
Wow,
Or this
look at
month,
that, huh?
but yeah, where we last month was our half a year.
Well, thanks for listening to us for half a year.
Yeah, you guys. There's been some growth. People listening, love it. And for those of you that are listening, you could lurk like you do on Twitch chats, do the exclamation point lurk, or you could add us on like Twitter or something at Dungeon Crawl Pod, or send us an email at Gmail at thedungeoncrawlpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
If you ever want to suggest something,
yeah, leave a review on iTunes. 5 stars.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Say how much you love Astral Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, I'd like to do an episode on them, but maybe not. I don't know.
There's some stuff to them, but I feel like we'd be done with it pretty quick.
Yeah, they're cool. You know what I think I'm going to do, like, in the next couple of weeks?
What?
I think I'm going to finally actually watch... I forgot the name of it. I can't watch it if I don't remember the name.
Yeah, I was about to say, how are you going to
Critical
find
Role.
it? Oh, what are you going to watch?
It.
Yeah, but where are you going to start? It's like watching a show that has like 1 million episodes. You're like, where the hell do I start?
The beginning.
I could recommend a place for you to start, but we'll see.
Why would I not start in the beginning?
Because it's a little rough at the beginning. There's a section where they get.
Crawl.
No, we've always been
sorry.
good.
Oof. The Adventure Zone.
Yeah, I guess you could try the first episode, see what you think about it. If you don't like it, then I can send you where I think it starts to get really good. A lot of people recommend to start in a certain other area.
How
but
far into it is it?
It's like 16 episodes in.
Oh, okay.
It's basically the show starts in the middle of an arc.
Okay.
That's why it's a little confusing to people, but a lot of people recommend to start at the beginning of the next arc.
Also, Twin Peaks. My God. Twin
Peaks. Make sure you listen to what I had to say. Make sure you listen to Braxton's favorite podcast, the Adventure Zone.
Yeah,
they're
not my favorite lately.
But they have been.
Yes, listen to the first arc in the Adventure Zone.
Okay, or first campaign,
and maybe the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what we've thought about this before? Never mind. All right.
Yeah.
So, thanks for listening, guys. We'll hopefully be back next week with Kenneth and the Shadowfell. He's definitely going to pop on at some point once we're able to coordinate schedules. We're going to try to record it here real soon.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for listening. See you fools next time.
Deuce.